Okay, so I just finished watching the Miss Marvel series on Disney Plus, and it's challenging me because I've always said and meant, and I still do believe, sticking to the opinion that superhero movies is a not very good description. Like it's a genre that can contain subgenres, kind of like how a superhero movie could be a thriller or could be like a comedy, which we are trying to explore, I guess, with She-Hulk. I have watched the first episode. I was thinking about making a video just for the first episode, but I'm not. I should suffice to say, I don't hate it. I can see some of the criticism that I've seen of the power dynamic, but let's give the. I need a few more episodes. Let's get going. And Miss Marvel, to return to the topic, um, is a personal story. That was actually where I wanted to start. I've always meant that superheroes movies can benefit a lot from being personal stories, close personal stories. I think Spider-Man is the evergreen golden example of that. How you always come back to that responsibility with his great powers, and how it has personal consequence. Um, so yeah, superheroes can be small personal stories, and this one is Miss Marvel is certainly a smaller, closer personal stories. I just don't story. Sorry, I just don't like it that much. Um, and I'm trying to figure out if it's just because it's so far removed from me. Like it's a teenage girl growing up at odds with her mom. I have a sister, so I've seen it secondhand. But there's also a big culture clash with her being like modern American and the mom having a bit more. Is it India, Pakistan? I can't really remember roots. She has more traditional roots, and the fact that I can't really remember it. I mean, there must be India, right? It's part of like how I checked out at some point. During this only 6 episodes, and I learned that like yesterday when I finished, I was like, oh, I got stuck somewhere between because I would only watch it when I had dinner, and as soon as I didn't have dinner, I could do something with my hands again. I would do something instead of watching it. I would like do check out of this story, not as much more than I did with Turning Red, which was also a bit of kind of like the same coming of age personal story. But with Miss Marvel, superheroes can be small personal stories. The Eternal certainly didn't benefit from having the big, oh, the world is at stake, whoa, that didn't help it at all. So very much believe that this just isn't it, Chief. I don't think. So maybe yeah, it's because I can't relate that much to the character, or I think that it's petty difference of a lot of it's like religion, tradition, culture. Um, Still Disney watered down. Like one of the biggest issues you might think of is if should women be covered, like with scarves? Should they wear? Is that what they call it? Like should they wear burqa? Should they cover their hair? Her mom doesn't do that, and what's it called Nunu? No. See, I wasn't engaged in this. All can't even remember her name. Doesn't do it at all too. She's very much an American teenager with slight exotic flavor, if I can put it like that. But that is the driving point of the first episode. Like she wants to go to something called Avenger Con, and she wants to dress up as her favorite superhero. Sorry, it's weird for her in this world, Marvel. Her favorite superhero, Captain Marvel. So then we also just have a huge disconnect, at least for me, of saying, wow, your favorite superhero is Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Yeah, okay. I guess you're the only one. But she dresses up like that, and She sneaks out to Avengers Con. Is the point of contention, the conflict between her daughter, and then her mom gets angry, and it's just not doing it for me. In this case here, in the Marvel Universe continuation on its own, I'm just not that interested or impacted by a mom getting angry at her teenage daughter for sneaking out to something that, I mean, I'm on the daughter's side. You could go to Avengers Con. She's like, what, she goes in high school or something. Of course, she's a bit, I think she's older than the actress that I can't remember is older than the character, I think, somewhat. She should be able to go to a convention, or the parents should take, but they don't want any part of that. Yeah. Her powers have changed. I'm not at all, not even low level into the Marvel comics. Not really by choice, I just didn't. So I don't know what's going on. I've never seen any Miss Marvel. Kamala is her character name, not Harris. Kamala Khan is her name. Wow, yeah, go brain. I haven't seen any Miss Marvel like before she showed up in the bigger mainstream, like the god awful Avengers game. So I'm not up to all of that, but I did know that her powers were stretching, and they sort of changed it. I mean, they changed it so she can now make floating rocks or rock shield, or is it energy? I guess it's more like energy because they vanished afterwards. I don't know why they made that decision, but I also not really care about it. I don't mind to say they can do what they want. I'm for taking artistic liberties, and a bit actually. In the end, she stretches using the rock power anyways. But the source of her power, they say, is from her, but she gets a bracelet. This is what I want to talk about a bit of superhero powers. Yes, they have very similar origin, because if you seek out powers and ability, you might actually be more of a villain. Like, it always has to be by chance or coincidence, mostly accident, that people get their superpowers. Kamala gets her from a bracelet that is casually sent from her grandmother, if I remember correctly. But it also only reacts to her, at least that's what they say in the beginning. Then it turns out it's more like her bloodline. And actually, in the very last 10 minutes of the last episode, they say, "Oh, there's something special about your blood. You're a mutant," and they even play the 5 notes of the X-Men. It's it reads to me as desperate fan service trying to build up something, because I mean, I was so checked out by that time. But that's Kamala's superpowers. They come from bracelet, and that's sort of not fun to have that. That's what I'm saying. I don't know her origins in the comic, the original, but I would assume that's a big no-no, saying you don't get your powers from a gadget, unless you, of course, are Batman, or you build the gadgets, like the Spider-Man version where he has the web shooters. But if you build it from a gadget, kind of like Iron Man, it's the whole point of the Spider-Man, when they go with Iron Man, saying if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have the suit. Kamala can't do anything about this bracelet. In general, it wasn't fun. I'm sorry if you can tell. It's just a bit of scattered thought from this one. One thing that definitely keeps me from getting engaged is that the actress that they got to play Kamala, she can't act very well, I think. Her lines are very monotone delivered. Not as bad as the one who plays her mom, I noticed. Her mom always sounds like she's just about to break out into crying. I don't know why that is, and it's annoying. It's not good. But the actress that plays Kamala can't act very well. I think her lines are poorly delivered. I don't feel engaged. Yes, she's young. It takes talent and practice, and then you practice some more. But it drags the experience down when she says something like, "I'm in danger," or "I believe in this, I care about this," and I don't believe it. Then my experience is worse. One character that I very much connected with, let's say like that, is the boy's sidekick. His name is Bruno, and unlike El Canto, I will talk about Bruno because Bruno is way too good for Kamala. Like, she's being a bad friend a lot of time, and he is bending over backwards, helping her, and he helps her with homework, and he does some of her costumes, and he's way too smart as well, and I think he sacrifices that a bit as well. Like, he's getting a grant to MIT or some university. Like, he's being awarded for his intelligence, for his hard work, for all the homework that he does, being given opportunities that he turns down to keep being friends with Kamala. I think, as I said, I was checked out, but he's definitely in a way too good for her, and he engages so much with her and her culture, and she has like, "Oh, I want to go to Avengers Con, I want to dress up as Miss Marvel, but my costume isn't special enough," and he makes her some bracelets or something that shows off her power, if I'm correct. It's been a while since I watched it. I'm sorry, it took a while because it was checked out. So if I had an excuse not to watch Marvel, I took it. That's on me. It makes for a slightly worse review or whatever it is that I'm doing. But my overall consensus is I didn't have fun. I checked out. I can't recommend it. I don't think it's required reading for the continuity in the MCU. That's generally the question you want to ask, at least it used to be, but given how MCU kind of, it's kind of scattered brain to me. Like, where's it even going? Who's the, like, they announced the Avengers movies, that like kind of like the tentpole that gets things together. I'm still not sure. They end also in this the last episode, the last 2 minutes. I don't wanna spoil it, but I don't think you should see it, so I'm thinking you should know it. The last 2 minutes, Captain Marvel, as in Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, shows up, and it just cuts to black. It says Miss Marvel will return in The Marvels. Yes, that's the movie, that one of the movies that they announced. But I'm not planning on watching that movie in theaters anyway. So in the cinema, it'll be fine on streaming. So it's just it's part of the mutant thing. It's kind of like, whoa, this is connected to the whole thing. Really carrying the torch, the mantle from Captain Marvel movie. That was like, oh, this is going to be important for Endgame, and yeah, I'm definitely part of the crowd that's like, it wasn't that important for Endgame, and I went to watch it because I wanted to be up to date for Endgame, and I thought, actually, Captain Marvel, I didn't think it was that bad when I watched it. It became worse the more I thought about it, and the more that I saw other people's reviews, breakdowns, and analysis of it. I could make it where, oh yes, I didn't notice that, I didn't pay attention to that. It feels like we're going in the same vein here with Miss Marvel. But to finish about this guy Bruno, he is, I mean, he's not realistic. He's way too good, and I think he's kind of like have a crush on Kamala. But then, of course, he goes for a taller, more fit guy, or at some point they try to kiss, get interrupted in a like in a firefight situation, or something, like in a tense moment where they need to be focused on everything else than the locking lips. And that scene, I mean, it's coloring me. I had a sort of similar situation. It felt stupid. I didn't like it. So I'll watch the series about Bruno. He's way too good for Kamala. So yeah, in general, because I think the first 3 episodes I watched as they released every Thursday or something, kind of like the slot that She-Hulk just take over. But I lost the plot, the main thread, the story, because there's some going back to explain Kamala's family, something, the origin of the bracelet, and I checked out. I tried to pay attention, I just couldn't remember any of it. So I don't know what the conflict is. It's on me to a certain degree, mostly, yeah, it's all on me. I forgot to pay attention. So I don't get the big threads, I don't get the big overall story, things are happening, I don't know. So there was some flashback to India, I think, because that was kind of like a main focus point, that England, or Britain, I guess you want to say, at some point the British Empire, occupied India, and that is a bad thing. And this movie, this series makes a effort of, all the people talk about it was bad, that being occupied is not nice. Yes, okay. But that led to some weird scenes. There's a major plot thread, or like a major scene where Kamala's grandmother, I think, it's actually her grandmother, trying to escape on a very crowded train station, and like super crowded, people can't, like, shoulder to shoulder, and it was just frustrating for me to watch, because there was a lot of people, and then a child gets separated from its parent, and just stands there and screams for no, and no one's reacting. The child just screams, and the scene goes on. The child is screaming, and the father is yelling the children's name, and he's on a cane, he's limping, and the mom is off trying to do things related to the bracelet. So the child can scream, the father can scream, and no one really cares. They're all just kind of like, I guess the modern term is like NPCs, just brain dead characters, just pushing people away. Oh, you're screaming. Or the dad trying to ask people, have you seen my daughter? And they barely look at him, and he's just asking people that's standing next to him. It was very frustrating to see. I didn't get the suspense at all, and it became a bit farcical with this crowded train station. A child can stand and scream, the dad can scream, the magical bracelet can glow up, magic can happen, no one noticed. A woman can get stabbed and die lying there giving her final speech, and no one noticed. And if I remember correctly, the series introduced time travel to a certain extent, and that is really good in your story, that you can time travel, because it eliminates all consequence and all stakes, because if something bad happens you can always time travel and redo it. But I don't think it's a mainstay of the series. We'll see as it goes. I guess. I mean, call me Marvel fan, but I keep watching these things. I'm not certainly impressed, and I haven't watched all of it. Like, I checked out of Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I forgot to keep up with. So yeah, that's Ms. Marvel. Let me go through my notes here. So we had the mutant, fan service, and the Ms. Marvel will return. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I checked out. For only 6 episodes, I was pretty impressed how quickly I lost interest in it. So yeah, that's Ms. Marvel. I hope this video made any sense. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.